Seventhly, sort of following on from this, I'm just going to go on. This is going to take quite a long time. I'm just going to go on. So you might get a bit tired, but I'm going to say it all. Be receptive. I'm going to stick my neck out a bit more if I haven't stuck it out far enough already. I think I've stuck it out so far that it's sort of on my knees. But I think the American male as a whole, if you can talk, if that's the right way of putting it, and generalising, I think the American male lacks a certain femininity.
I beg your pardon?
When I first came, I was quite sort of struck by it. It made quite a strong impression on me, my first visit here to Aryaloka. You know, you're all very friendly and very good people. But yes, the more sort of feminine aspects of human development do need a bit more work, let's say. There's room for improvement there. You know, as a culture, I think that the stereotype, the masculine stereotype, is rather harsh and rather isolated. And I think you do have to do quite a bit of work to overcome this. There's quite a bit of competitiveness and boisterousness and so forth, and not a lot of very evident natural sort of sensitivity and care to each other. And I think you have to work quite a bit on this area. Just becoming more and more sensitive to each other, just spontaneously, naturally helping each other. Some of you have definitely got this side, so each of you can think it's everybody else. But maybe nonetheless, you know, even so, you can work quite a bit more on it. Just becoming more sensitive, just becoming more receptive. You know, being prepared to, you know, have somebody say something to you and not becoming immediately defensive and, you know, taking offence and immediately disbelieving them. You know, with some people, I get the impression that, you know, if you offer them some feedback, their first instinct is just to argue back. Well, maybe one should sort of think about it, you know, for, you know, at least a couple of minutes before coming back with your arguments. You know, actually sort of try to see, well, sorry, I don't quite understand what you're getting at, and, you know, sorting out the bits that you don't agree with quite, and just seeing that, yes, you've got a point at the back of that. So receptivity, not this sort of machismatic, I love this word, machismatic sort of automatic machismatic rejection of anything that anybody says to you that's at all critical, and a preparedness to, you know, just take it in. You know, it does, I'm afraid, I have to say it, it does actually betoken a certain degree of insecurity if one's that unable to take in criticism. It does mark a certain insecurity. You know, so you know, the others, you've probably noticed it in the others. So I really think that this is something that you've got an opportunity to work with in this whole business of, you know, trying to work out what it is that you've got to work on. You've got a really good opportunity to develop receptivity. I don't mean just, you know, handing yourself over body and soul and, you know, just becoming a sort of slave. I think that's quite a long way down the line, actually. But, you know, just really listening, trying to think, not first of all, they're wrong, but first of all, well, I don't quite understand, I don't quite agree, but they must be saying something. There must be something in what they're saying. You know, let's see what it is, and asking questions and trying to find out, rather than first of all trying to argue it off. Yes, and confession, being prepared to confess. You know, being freely open to letting others know what your own weaknesses are, what your own unskillfulness is. Just opening up in that kind of way. Opening up weakness. I think this is something that men generally in the West need to do. Learn to just admit their own weakness. And, you know, that you can fail. I believe that in America you're not allowed to fail. But, you know, well, one does occasionally. It has been known. And, well, just freely admit it. And that way you'll learn and be able to move forward. So all of this is a sort of thing I mean. But I think also just in terms of a general kind of atmosphere, a sensitivity to each other, a kind of taking of each other in. You know, and an expression of physical affection, for instance. I think that's quite important. A preparedness to sort of sense the wider vibes rather than just the words that are being said. Preparedness just to listen, to be quiet, not just to immediately speak. You know, seeing what people need and giving it to them. You know, you see this at mealtimes in silence, don't you? You have to sort of sit there and wait for the cream cheese to come to you, or the bagels or whatever. Well, we should be just sort of immediately aware of each other and just passing it. And this is the sort of thing that we need to do. I think work on this side of things. And I think you need to put a lot of work into it. I think presence would be a good thing. Quite a lot of presence. Giving things to each other. And working on on that side of things, which is so sort of against the American male image, as far as I know anyway. Sort of giving each other flowers and so on, actually demonstrating your affection and feeling for each other. And in this way, it'll really develop and flourish. So it's quite a big area, which I've delineated very quickly, but I think it can be summed up in this expression, be receptive, and develop the feminine aspects of spiritual life. I think this, of course, comes out in terms of devotion as well, and the whole sort of sensitivity to environment.